Hi, friends and family. This is Brittany, and today I just wanted to kind of walk you guys through what Jamie and I have been through, and as far as our infertility journey goes. Thank you so much for viewing this video and viewing this page. It means a lot to both of us, so thank you. Jamie and I started trying to have a baby when we got married, and that was July 2014. So it's been 3 years. It's been a really long journey. For any of you that are out there that have been through infertility, it's a lot of ups and downs. It's very much a roller coaster ride. So how this started, like I said, we tried about 3 years ago. We started trying, and about a year into it, we thought, oh, we haven't, had any success. It's been an entire year, and that's usually when they tell you, you might be having some problems. So we decided to go to see a fertility doctor here in Daytona. And basically, the first appointment, that when you go to a fertility clinic, they kind of sit you down and they talk through your family history and your medical history, and they also take some blood work. So we had all that done, and the doctor said nothing was wrong, and he didn't know why we were having so much trouble, which is harder, I think, than saying, that there's a problem. So we did that first initial appointment. Everything was fine. And so I got a bill in the mail for like $160 for just a consult, and for them to tell me that they didn't know what was wrong. So after that, I decided, you know what, this is going to be too expensive for us. So let me try to go maybe a different route that's maybe, I'd heard of different things that I maybe wanted to try, and maybe I could, do that through an OBGYN. So I started asking around, and we actually found a really great OBGYN. His name is Dr. White here in Daytona. And we went to him, and he did the same thing, our medical history, and took blood work. He had Jamie go do a sperm analysis, which was perfect, of course. But so we did all that route, and that was much cheaper. I had to go in, each month I would go in and see him when my cycle started, and we tried something originally called clomiphene. And clomiphene, you might have heard of it. It's other term for it is Clomid. And Clomid, basically what it does is it helps you ovulate for people who have trouble ovulating. And I didn't know if that was my problem, but it's worth a try. It's kind of one of those first tries that people do when you first come in and tell them that you're having problems getting pregnant. So I actually did 6 cycles of Clomid, and it didn't work. And the only way to find out if you have endometriosis is through a diagnostic surgery called laparoscopy, which I'd never heard of before. And laparoscopy is basically where they take tools and they go inside your stomach and pelvic area, and these tools have cameras on the ends of them, and they go inside of you and they see if there's endometriosis. And for those of you who don't know what endometriosis is, basically it's that your lining that a woman sheds every month, some of that goes outside of where it's supposed to be, and you get these lesions you can get, lesions on your uterus, your fallopian tubes, on your bladder even. You can get them everywhere, and there's various stages of it. So like people who have like their bladders actually attached to their uterus, that is more of a higher stage of endometriosis. Like that would be a stage 4. What I have is stage 2. I'm jumping ahead, but we went ahead with the laparoscopy surgery. And before that, actually, I'm way jumping ahead. Before that, in addition to the sperm analysis, we had ultrasounds done, internal ultrasounds, to see if like my tubes were open, all my parts were functioning, and also with my laparoscopy, with my tubes being open, we got an HSG, it's called. It's where they take dye and they do an x-ray of your tubes, and they see if the dye flows through the tubes correctly and through the uterus correctly. So we got all that done as well. But anyway, back to the laparoscopy. That's the only way to tell if you have endometriosis. So they did the laparoscopy, and that was in May of 2016. So I went in and got the laparoscopy surgery done, and I can remember, just a funny little side note, when I was in the room, the recovery room, waking up off of the anesthesia, the first thing that I asked the nurse was, can I have a baby? And um, that was just, it weighs so heavy on your mind when you don't know for sure if you're able to or not. But I asked her that, and she's like, well, you'll have to tell your doctor. You'll have to ask him. I can't tell you. But Dr. White came in after the surgery finished, and he did tell me I indeed had what I thought I had, and that I did have endometriosis, and it was stage 2. There was about 10 different lesions that were on my uterus, small lesions. He showed me pictures afterwards of that. And so that was, as much as it was, a hard thing to hear, it was also good because then I had a reason. I had like an explanation for why I couldn't have a baby. Before it was just, I don't know why you can't have a baby, but now I had actual reason, and that gave me a lot of hope. And also with laparoscopy, with the surgery, a lot of times what they do after they diagnose you that you have it, they also remove all the lesions. So they take they either burn it off or cut it off, and they take all those out. So usually a lot of times people with endometriosis, after they get that done, they are able to conceive because they remove all the growths. But unfortunately, those growths do return. So some women have to get them removed as much as every 6 months. And endometriosis also comes with a lot of pain. Fortunately, I do not have those side effects. My only side effect was that I couldn't get pregnant. But a lot of women have a lot of difficulty and a lot of pain associated with endometriosis. Oops, I shouldn't have put on mascara. But anywho, so he came in and he told me that I did in fact have endometriosis, that it was stage 2, and kind of that we'd wait to see if I got pregnant within 6 months. If I didn't, that they would kind of put me into early menopause to kind of see if they could get rid of the endometriosis. But I knew that was never an option for me because I definitely want to have babies. So we waited, and actually by the grace of God, and it was truly a miracle. Oh, this part's gonna be hard. In August, I just been on a road trip. I actually went away for work. I was in Reno, Nevada, and I had just gotten home, and then somehow by the miracle of God, like I said, we were able to conceive. And in September of 2016, I got my first ever positive pregnancy test. And we were so happy. Sorry. We were over the moon happy, and I got to share that with my family, and oh, now I'm ugly crying. But anyway, so we got our first pregnancy test that was positive. We went to the doctor around 8 weeks, and we saw the most perfect little baby on the ultrasound. We got to hear their heartbeat, and they had a gestational sac, and everything looked really good. The heartbeat was around, I think 160 beats per minute. And so everything was going fine. I was really careful. I was super paranoid. I ate everything right. I did everything, We actually went to Disney a couple weeks after I found out, and I, wouldn't ride any of the rides, because I'm like, no. Even if, it's slow, I don't want to, jeopardize anything. But unfortunately, around 11 weeks pregnant, I started to experience some spotting. And it was the tiniest bit of spotting. But I'm a worrier by nature. I'm the biggest worrier wart you'll ever meet. But anyway, I got some spotting. I was like Googling my heart out and reading so many books about what that could mean. And I heard that it's common that some women spot during pregnancy. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm okay. So I went to Dr. White the next day. I called as soon as I woke up. I called and got in. He saw me right away. He said my cervix was closed. Everything was fine, but he wanted to send me to an ultrasound just to check on the baby. So he sent us to the hospital to get an ultrasound. And, ooh. And so we went to the ultrasound, and there was this sweet nurse named Megan, and I'll never forget her because she was so optimistic up till the final moment. And first they did it over the belly, even though I was, so a lot of times they can't see the baby over the belly doing ultrasounds, but she saw the baby, and the baby was in there, and I knew instantly that something was not right, because the baby was just sitting down at the bottom. And she continued to be positive, and she's like, it's okay, we'll just do an internal ultrasound and everything will be okay, just, go ahead and empty your bladder and come back out and we'll take a look. And she left the room, and I told Jamie, I said, this is not good. And thank God he was there with me. He's been better than I deserve through all this. But anyway, so she did an internal ultrasound, and indeed she said, the baby was measuring at 7 weeks, which I was 11 weeks along. So the baby had shrunken quite a bit. And then she, said the words that every woman will never forget if they ever go through a miscarriage, which is there's no heartbeat. And it's just one of those things. It's shocking. You just sit there and you're like, why is this happening to me, I'll try to pull it together, I promise, here in a second. This is really hard to talk about. So after that day, I had to get a D&C to remove the baby, and we named him or her, I think it was a boy for some reason, but baby Lee, which is a family name. It's actually Jamie's mom's middle name. So we named the baby Lee, and, we took some time to kind of get all those emotions gone, and then we took a break. So we took a couple months break, and that was in November when I lost the baby, November of 2016. And then about January, I decided, you know what, I need to try again. Like, God put this on my heart for a reason. Like, I really think that I'm supposed to be a mother. And so we started trying again, and we went back to Dr. White for a while, but it's just, he kind of got to the point where he's like, I don't think I can help you anymore. Like, you really need to go to a fertility specialist. Maybe they can put you on different medicine. Maybe they can, do something different than what I'm able to give you. So we went back to the fertility clinic, the expensive fertility clinic, and we started talking to him about different things that we could do. And so we, just from there, and I'll try to speed this up and not go into details like that little by little, but he did blood work again, sperm analysis again, so we did all that again just to see if anything had changed from the first time that we went in. We did blood work, and my blood work was actually better than it was previously, but I had lost some weight, so that helped, I think, with my hormone levels. So we got all that checked out again, and the doctor, said, well, what do you want to do next? And at that point, I had done a lot of research about what was out there and what you could do. And I had looked into IUI, and IUI is an intrauterine insemination. And basically, the man gives a sample, they put it in a catheter, they go past the cervix, and they put the sperm into your uterus so that, because a lot of women have problems with just the sperm getting past your cervix. So I did IUI number 1, that failed. IUI number 2, that failed. IUI number 3, and that failed. So I have done 3 IUIs, which are about $1,000 a piece. So it just really, like, not only is this process like physically, mentally draining, it's also like financially draining. And I feel fortunate for that we were able to afford the IUIs. I know that many people out there can't even do that, and so I'm glad that I was able to at least do that. And then you feel better because you know that you're doing all you can do. So at the 3rd IUI, they don't encourage people to have IUIs past 3. Like, the most they'll let you do is like 5 at my clinic, just because the success rates go down. So an average couple has a 20% chance, I think, or no, maybe it's 12. I don't know. It's a pretty low number of conceiving naturally. A couple with infertility, my doctors told me that we have a 2% chance of conceiving naturally. So that's why Lee was so much of a miracle. But anyway, I have a 2% chance. With drugs and IUI, your chance goes up to what a normal couple would be. So like that 12 to 20%. I can't remember what it is. So that is where we were at as far as a couple weeks ago. We were kind of done with IUI, wondering what our next step was going to be. And as you guys are probably familiar with the term IVF, and IVF is intra vitro fertilization, and they also call it ART, which is assisted reproductive technology. So that is the next step after IUI typically for a couple, but it costs about $15,000 to do an IVF cycle. And so what my plan was, I was going to go to the doctor and I was going to tell him, that we need to take a year or 2 off of trying to conceive and to raise money for our IVF. So like save money up and, just really cut everything down and maybe do some fundraising, and we needed a couple years to do that. So I had set up an appointment to kind of go over that plan with him and tell him what our next step was. I also have been trying acupuncture for the last couple years because a lot of people had told me, try this, it might work. And we've done, with the last 2 IUIs, we actually did acupuncture along with it. But anyway, so IVF was next up, but we couldn't afford it for a couple years. So my clinic sent me a message, a voicemail. I got a voicemail that said, we are having a fertility talk at the Hampton Inn in Daytona, and if you'd like to come, we'd love to have you. We'll have food and drinks, and then we have a raffle for a free IVF cycle. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that. Like, I was more interested too in learning more about IVF and what all was involved in that. And IVF, for those of you who are not too familiar with it, IVF is where they take the egg, they'll retrieve the egg through surgery with anesthesia and all that. They'll retrieve the egg out of me. They'll take Jamie's sample and they'll actually insert it into the egg. They'll take 1 sperm and insert it. And then they monitor them for about 3 to 5 days and make sure to see what embryos are doing well and which ones aren't. And then you're left with however many embryos that they were able to create. And then you freeze some, and then you can actually go through a transfer, which is where they put the egg and the sperm in, or the embryo. They put that inside of you, where then it needs to implant. And it gives you a 60% chance, 40 to 60, depending on what clinic and how many embryos you implant inside, but it's a 40 to 60% chance of pregnancy. And so that was, that was cool. So I wanted to learn more about all of that and how that all works. So we went to the hotel and we went through this talk. Near the end, I kept thinking to myself, I was trying to visualize winning this IVF cycle because I knew that we were going to have a long road ahead of us of trying to raise up money and save and all of that. But I visualized them pulling my number and pulling my name, and I prayed so hard. I prayed that, please God, this is the desire of my heart. Please let this be for me. And please let this free cycle be mine. And lo and behold, they pulled out that ticket and they said Brittany Taylor, and I couldn't move. I was bawling in front of this room of, 20 couples. And I just couldn't believe it, that God had answered my prayer and that it was happening. So what this kind of fundraiser is for is everything is included in this IVF cycle that they're giving us, with the exception of the medication. So when you do IVF, you have to take multiple shots, many shots of medicine and progesterone and gonal F and just all these. You wouldn't believe how much drugs you have to put in your body. And it's so that they have tons of eggs, to choose from in your body instead of just the one that you normally ovulate with. So it's kind of like this super ovulation, and they want these big, perfect eggs. So you go through all this medication. Well, the medication actually costs $5,000 for our cycle. So it was wonderful that we won this, but we still have money to raise. And if we want to use the IVF cycle, if the free IVF cycle, we have to come up with this money shortly, like in the next 3 months, to be able to use this free cycle, which is about a value of about $10,000 that they gave us that we won somehow. I still can't believe it. I can't get over it. But so that's where kind of you guys come in, and I'm sorry this video, it looks like it's 22 minutes, I'm sorry. That's where you guys come in and helping Jamie and I create our family, and I can't tell you how much I will be so grateful to anyone who can donate. Even a couple bucks here and there will go towards that $5,000 that we need to do medicine and to go forward with this IVF and hopefully have a baby. So I at first I was like, I don't want to ask people for money. I don't want to do that. And I didn't know. I was really unsure about it, and I still kind of am unsure about it. But what made it better in my head is maybe I can give you guys something that donate. Maybe if you donate, I will send you something. And I was thinking, like, what can I give? Like, I don't have, what can I give that someone would find, okay to be able to donate to our cause. So I kind of came up with this plan, and I'm going to show you real quick this. This is a necklace that my dad has made for years. This is the cross, Seize It, Share It, and he makes these crosses by hand with nails. He welds them together and he kind of ties them up. There's different colors, so this one's the silver. And then he also makes one that's kind of like copper, like a penny looking, if you'll see like the difference between the little wires right there. But so there's the cross. So if anyone donates that wants a cross, I will send them a cross in the mail. And then I also saw these things, and I have one actually from one of my fertility friends. She makes wish bracelets and she sells them for her IVF fund. And so I have started making wish bracelets. And basically, what this is a bracelet made out of hemp and a little silver-plated charm and some beads. And basically what it is it's a wish bracelet. So you put it on. First, you make a wish, and then you put it on, and when it falls off of you, so when the strings will eventually, there's kind of what kind of string it is, but the strings will eventually wear down, or they might just break on their own, and this wish bracelet will fall off, and you'll lose the beads and the necklace, and you'll lose it all. But your wish is supposed to come true after that fades away. So I have these, and I'll try to put pictures. I don't know how this works, but I'll try to put pictures down on the bottom. But I have them in all sorts of colors. I do have some like different charms as well, but most of them are that heart. So I have all sorts of colors that I'll be using. Oops. So all sorts of different little bracelets, and I figured you know, as a thank you for donating and making our dreams and wishes come true, that I could mail you a little wish bracelet. And if you wanted to, if you're planning on, wanting to use these for something, like you can give them as gifts, as like bridal shower gifts or baby shower gifts. I could buy different charms and make them for you. So just let me know. So I just thought that would be kind of, I know it's not much, but I thought it would be something to show that I'm appreciative of everyone kind of being my cheerleader and making our dreams come true. So I'm going to end this very long video, and I just want to say again, even if you do not donate, even just you viewing this, thank you so much for listening to my story. Infertility affects 1 out of 8 couples, and unfortunately, we are the 1 out of 8. And I wouldn't wish this journey on anyone. It's really hard. But thank you all for being there for me, and especially through my miscarriage. I've had so many people reach out and tell me they went through it as well. This thank you from the bottom of my heart. I love you guys. Bye.